replace detention with a mindful moment room. Instead of sending kids to detention or the principal's office, they are being sent to a colorful room where they can stretch, talk about why they are there, and are taught to breathe deeply and recenter themselves. Since then, school suspensions have dropped to 0. Schools should include mindfulness breaks for their students. I have done hours of research on this topic, and studies show that teaching children mindfulness is more beneficial than not. In this speech, I will speak about problems school systems are facing involving students, what is causing these problems, and how mindfulness shows to be a helpful solution. This information may be useful to many of you, since a few of you are teachers as well as parents. To begin, the Journal of Education and Practice tells us that misbehavior, carelessness, child rivalry, backtalk, and irresponsibility are 5 of the most common disciplinary issues in elementary schools. Furthermore, as children get into high school, teachers are facing problems like apathy, tardiness, disrespect, absenteeism, violence, and students are turning to substance abuse. The Journal of Education and Perspectives tells us that in a survey of high school teachers, 17% of them reported that they lost 4 or more hours of teaching time each week due to disruptive students, and another 19% lost 2 or 3 hours each week. Moving on to some of the causes of students having a difficult time: divorce, single parents, poverty, violence, learning impediments such as ADHD, and many other issues are challenges a student brings to school every day. All of these factors interfere with the child's ability to learn and be present during school hours. For example, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, while not considered a learning disability, can disrupt learning. Children with ADHD often have problems sitting still, staying focused, following instructions, staying organized, and completing homework. According to the CDC, more than 1 in 10 high school students received an ADHD diagnosis by their healthcare provider. That's 1 in 5 high school boys and 1 in 11 high school girls. In addition, studies by Columbia County Longitudinal Study show that parent education and family interaction patterns, or lack thereof, during childhood may also be linked to a child's academic success and achievement-oriented attitudes. In summary, teaching students mindfulness at a young age may help to prevent future troubles as the child gets older by teaching them valuable lessons on how to become aware of their emotions and cope with them in a healthy way. So here we have an example of a mindfulness room at the elementary school that I mentioned. They replaced this room with a detention room. It's colorful and the kids are able to sit down on pillows. Here we have a survey of 702 students who went to a school that implemented mindfulness. 61% of the students say it helped them calm themselves down when they are upset. 59% of the students say that it helps them focus. And 61% says that it helped them to make better decisions. Furthermore, a study by Dr. John T. Mitchell shows that mindfulness practice deactivates parts of the brain related to mind wandering that may help improve ADHD symptoms, while thickening parts of the brain that increase cognitive control as well as emotional regulation. Here we have a picture of the brain. Here are 2 important parts of the brain. Here in the middle is the hippocampus, and this is responsible for support many key functions in learning, like memory and emotion regulation. The front part of the brain right here is the prefrontal cortex, and it's also known as the executive control center of the brain. This part of the brain helps you to stay calm, listen, plan, and understand what is happening around you. Stress is a key factor that causes the prefrontal cortex to shrink. Practicing mindfulness can strengthen both the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex, causing the structures in our brain to literally change. In opposition to mindfulness, David Forbes, professor of school counseling, says schools are trying to turn kids into robots, as well as gain social control. However, studies show that mindfulness actually helps children have better thought out and less reactive responses, as well as better self-awareness. In summary, mindfulness helps children make better decisions. Finally, I hope I was able to better inform you on the effects of practicing mindfulness. By practicing mindfulness consistently through a series of kid-friendly exercises and breathing techniques, 1 minute a day before their classes, students will be calmer, better able to pay attention, and lessons will go smoother. Just as Robert W. Coleman Elementary implemented mindfulness in their schools and saw amazing results, teaching kids at an early age can give them coping strategies to last a lifetime. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody have questions?
I do.
Yes.
Can you give an example of a mindfulness activity?
Yes, an example of a mindfulness activity would be stretching and taking deep breaths with the child, as well as trying to get them to open up and communicate. Yes.
Where could you have these mindfulness activities?
You can do mindfulness activities in the classroom, or you can have a special room for mindfulness activities, but pretty much anywhere. Next, anybody else?
How long do they have to be?
So the younger the student, the less time you would have mindfulness time with them. So about a minute, the shortest, but you could go up to 25 minutes or 30 minutes, as long as the children are willing to do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.